Hi everybody, I'm Hub Arkush for Pro Football Weekly, and every week at PFW we go one-on-one. We bring in a couple members of the PFW debate team to discuss one of the hot topics in the NFL. To my right is Associate Editor Kevin Fishbane, to my left Associate Editor Arthur Arkush, and the topic this week will be hotly contested over the next 10 days or so as we head up to the Super Bowl. Which club has the best quarterback heading into Super Bowl XLVII? Is it Colin Kaepernick of the San Francisco 49ers or Joe Flacco of the Baltimore Ravens? Now, obviously not a lot of beauty anywhere in this shot. I'm not sure who's got the age, so I'll just go to my left and say, Arthur, you go first. Who have you got?
I'm going to go with Joe Flacco. I'm going to go with the one with the more proven track record, the NFL's new record holder for road victories in the playoffs. Look, I think Colin Kaepernick can probably do everything Joe Flacco can do, and in good time, maybe he will. But he hasn't yet. I can't ignore the stats. I can't ignore the 15-2 touchdown to interception ratio Flacco has impressively posted in the past 7 postseason games. I can't ignore the way he has taken care of 2 Hall of Famers on the road the past 2 weeks. His teams didn't beat those teams. Flacco really lifted his team on his shoulders and beat those 2 guys. So for me, I think he's the guy who's been a little more battle-tested, has a little better chance of not buckling under the pressure on the biggest stage of the NFL.
Well, that means Kevin's going with Colin Kaepernick. What's your argument?
Well, I am, and you can't ignore that Colin Kaepernick beat Aaron Rodgers and Matt Ryan in Atlanta on his way there. And what I love about Colin Kaepernick is he can beat you with his arm like he did against the Falcons, and then he can run all over you like he did against Green Bay. And the Baltimore Ravens certainly have a great defense, but they have to account for his running and his throwing. And I know Flacco's experienced. I know Flacco's been there before, but there's a lot out there on how to stop Flacco. You know, he's not that accurate because he throws the ball downfield so often. If you're able to take that away from him, you can really get after Flacco. I think there's still a lot of question of how you really stop Kaepernick. Atlanta stopped the option, and then he beat them through the air.
You know, it's interesting, Arthur, with all the talk about what Flacco's done in the postseason, especially the last 3 weeks. Week 14, 15, 16 of the NFL season, people were saying, let him go. Don't even re-sign him. He'll be a free agent after this season.
And I think there was a major turning point in Week 15 when they got embarrassed by the Broncos. That was the last time Flacco turned the ball over. That's what's been most impressive to me. He is being a lot more secure with the football. He's making better decisions, and I think he's a lot more comfortable in Jim Caldwell's offense. We can talk about how Colin Kaepernick can run all over the place. We know Joe Flacco's not going to do that. I don't trust Colin Kaepernick to run the no-huddle offense the way Flacco has lately, so I think that's something he's going to have the ability to throw at the 49ers that maybe they'll have a hard time countering. But I just think the way he protects the football, you look at Kaepernick, had the pick 6 before he got his bearings against the Packers. He almost had another against Corey Peters last week, you'll remember. As soon as they fell behind 10-0, Peters dropped what would be a sure interception. So I still have my question marks about Kaepernick's ability to protect the football.
Well, and Kevin, in addition to the Corey Peters dropped pick in the game against the Falcons, go back to that Packer game. There was another ball in the second period that should have been picked, was batted around by 2 Packers, would have gone all the way back. Another one in the third period, might not have been a pick 6. He's had a little bit of good fortune on his side. You're right, he can run with the football. I'm not sold yet on this kid from the pocket.
Yeah, you know, I think that's his biggest concern. You look back to the game against the Rams in the season when they lost that game. I think that's one real red flag on Colin Kaepernick when you look at this, because he has shown in that game and in the game against Seattle that he can be stopped, and that, you know, he has struggled with turnovers at some times in the season. But, you know, you still look at his touchdown interception ratio, is still pretty good. And if he uses Vernon Davis a little bit more like he did against Atlanta last week, Michael Crabtree's come out very strong. And if you just trust Frank Gore or Michael James, that offensive line, so many different weapons. And I also put, you know, while Arthur put some trust in Jim Caldwell, I'm putting a lot of trust in Jim Harbaugh in this offense. They give you so many different looks and different ways to let Kaepernick beat you.
One more question for each of our guys here. Arthur, I'll start with you. What if regular season Joe Flacco shows up and not postseason Joe Flacco?
Then the Ravens have a big problem on their hands. I don't know what the answer is to why Flacco has suddenly flipped it on, but clearly he has. If the regular season Flacco shows up, they don't have a prayer. I mean, they've shown that they've needed to lean on him. It was Rice and Pierce early before they sort of took to the air last week to beat the Patriots. So I don't have a great answer there. If it's regular season Flacco, I'm not sure we're having this debate in the first place.
And Kevin, the question I have for you, is Kaepernick really too good to be true, or is the body of work too small? Are we still waiting for the moment where the lights are too bright? I just don't know if he's got enough experience for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it really is a small sample that we're looking at, Hub, and you can look to see it to the Atlanta game. They're down, they come back. You know, he throws the ball when they shut down the option. You can use that as he can clearly play big on the big stage, but that was only one game you mentioned, and it's a whole different animal. Super Bowl, that's days of interviews and tons of media throngs and tons of pressure on him. He's shown he can handle it thus far, but he's young. This is, he hasn't had that many starts in the NFL, so it's certainly a concern when you're putting your money on Kaepernick.
Yeah, this is a really good one because I can't argue with either one of you guys. The one thing we know for sure, without Joe Flacco, the Ravens aren't here. And without Colin Kaepernick, the 49ers aren't here. Here being the Super Bowl. Should be a good one. We'd love to know what you guys think. Who's going to be the better quarterback in the Super Bowl? For all the best NFL preview, Super Bowl 47 preview, news, notes, and analysis, everything you need for the game of pro football that you love, make sure you stay right where you're at ProFootballWeekly.com.